Hey guys, I'm Coldy. Welcome to the NHL 31 for 31 series where my buddy 418 and I give our thoughts on all 31 teams. We go over last year's stats and standings and give our predictions for the 2018-2019 season, as well as look at the top performers from each squad and pick a standout player for the upcoming season. We could hit the nail on the head or be smoking the reef, so let us know what you think down below. I'll see you out there.
All right, so the Calgary Flames this time around, we're heading out west in the Canadian Pacific.
The Flamajamas.
The Flamajamas. What is your take on the Calgary Flamas?
Well, kind of what I want Buffalo to do this year. They finished middle of the pack in the Pacific. 37 dubs, which is over 500 because they had 35 losses.
Yeah.
84 points. Now,
Not great.
No, not great at all. They also had some inconsistency in net, but we'll get onto that a little bit later.
Man, they finished 11 points out of the wild card?
Yeah, it wasn't really close.
Jeez. No, it was not.
No. So, kind of some stats that stick out to me. Goal differential again, they were minus 30, which isn't terrible, but when you look at the stat that says the difference between playoffs and golfing in May is winning one game a month. So if you were to even go maybe I'd say +1 or even 0, they might not have made the playoffs in the wildcard spot, but that 11-point difference would have shrunken a lot.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Home games, they were kind of tough, which is kind of odd to see because a lot of the times teams do better at home than away. They went 17-20 at home, which again, if you can finish above 500,
that makes a big difference right there.
Yeah, and they did a little bit better on the road, which is odd again. They went 20-15.
And I mean, they're one of their main issues last year was production offensively.
Yeah.
They finished in the bottom 5 in scoring.
Wow.
Which, I mean, when you're in the same ranks as the Buffaloes and the Arizonas, it's tough, especially a team like Calgary that they took such a big step forward when they first got Johnny Hockey, and they just looked so fast. They were playing like an unstoppable style of hockey, and now, a couple of years later, they're back in the dumps. I mean, 4 years they've been the definition of a team that's on and off. They finished with 97 points 4 years ago. Then they dropped down to 77, which was worse than last year.
Oof.
And then they went back up to 94 and back down to 84. So they're hot and cold every year. So
okay,
if the trend continues that way, it should be a big jump in points this year.
Well, I know for us living in Canada, we want to see a little bit more Canadian teams make it. I can tell you right now, and I think we're both agreeing on this, Vancouver is not touching the playoffs.
No, they won't even smell it.
So I personally believe it's going to be Toronto, Calgary, and maybe Edmonton, but they're in the same division. So I don't know, maybe one of them squeaks in, beating out the other.
You don't give any love to Winnipeg.
Oh shit! I forgot about the Jet boys.
Yeah, if anything.
Well, they're just a shoe-in, right? So that's kind of why I didn't bring them up. But
yeah, okay.
I guess I could have left the Leafs out too because they're a shoe-in. But I got to keep you on your toes. So
yeah, that's it.
Anyways, looking at player stats from last year, top scorer was Johnny Hockey, 84 points, which is pretty decent. It's up there in the league, right? I'd say top 20 guys, maybe. Yeah. Top 20. But again, like you said, they had a little bit of trouble scoring last year, or even just being a little bit more consistent scoring. Monahan, most goals, 31.
Isn't it weird to you that the top scorer on the team in terms of points only had 24 goals? Like, I think that the team's top scorer, if he finishes 80 plus points, that he'd be a 30 goal scorer.
Yeah,
it's kind of strange.
It is odd, and I think the main reason for Johnny Hockey finishing first in their team with 84 points is because Monahan had a bad year. I really think Monahan, with his 31 goals, if he can actually manage to get that up to 35 and maybe say 50 assists, he's number one right there.
And bro, Matthew Tkachuk had the same amount of goals as Gaudreau, and
So
he played 12 games less.
Now, I guess it also is kind of depending on their position, maybe on power play. Like, I know Gaudreau is more the setup man. He's not the slinger.
Yeah.
And Tkachuk is down low, right? I believe. So he's like a Van Riemsdyk, right? He's going to pop in 25, 30 goals a year. He's happy with that. But yeah, for Johnny Gaudreau, maybe he needs to shoot the puck a little bit more.
Yeah.
If actually, he actually fired more shots on net than Monahan this last year.
Really?
Yeah. Monahan was just over 200, and Gaudreau was at 227. Which is odd. Maybe, Monahan was just picking his time better.
Right, maybe.
But anyways, moving on down the list, like you said, we got Tkachuk. Again, 24 goals, 25 assists, which I'm going to bring him up in the next category as well. But I think he needs to get his head out of his you-know-what and just play hockey.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I agree with that. He was a lot of penalties, he got suspended, didn't he?
Yeah.
For
So
stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Unnecessary stuff.
And we'll get in. Yeah. We gotta save some of this for the next segment. But top D, Dougie Hamilton, 17 goals, which is actually pretty good. It's not out of this world, but I think it's actually in the top 5.
Yeah.
For D.
They traded him away.
Yes, and they got younger, which we kind of brought up in the Anaheim series or segment. Good on them for maybe, right now they had Dougie Hamilton, but they maybe don't see themselves winning with him at the moment. Maybe they take a step backwards. First, they grow with Hanifin. They get him in their system. They show him what their playbook is like. They get him going. And I'm gonna say maybe 3 years. He's gonna be like an Ekblad. He has. Pardon?
Dougie?
No, Noah Hanifin. Sorry.
Noah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I find he has, when he gets in the zone, he has a bit of a mean streak to him, and that's.
Man, I actually really liked him.
Yeah.
I really
Same.
thought that he was a good offensive defenseman when he played for the U.S. In the World Juniors.
Yeah.
And then he kind of fell off the map. I kind of just had no idea what he was up to in Carolina. The Calgary, they lost Bartkowski on D, so
yeah.
Hanifin gets a bit more space there. In terms of the bigger names, Matt Stajan no longer on the team.
Nope.
Chris Stewart, Chris Versteeg no longer on the team. Jaromir Jagr,
Which I'm sad about.
I'm sad too. He's out in Europe, right? I think.
Yeah, he's still playing.
So we'll definitely check in on him during the season. Tanner Glass gone. Michael Furlan gone. I was kind of surprised by that.
Well,
I thought he was a big piece of their offensive production. Not necessarily production, but just size-wise and making an impact.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was a pretty instrumental part of their offense just by the way they work their system. But in terms of additions, they didn't really add any big bodies to replace him. They got Lindholm from in that trade with for Hamilton, right?
Who I think is a pretty steady guy. He'll get you
And I think
40, 50 points a year.
Reminds me a little bit of a Raquel. He's a speedy guy, good hands. He just needs to make a bit more of an impact, maybe physically.
Okay.
Because right now I don't think he's known for using his body much. But they got James Neal who comes in and can do that, right? Like he can step in.
Yep.
And Derek Ryan, he was on.
Sorry, you cut out there for a sec.
Derek Ryan.
Oh, okay, right.
I think he was maybe a centerman for Carolina.
Okay.
But anyway, he's just he's another another piece that they've added. So I don't know, man. I look at their roster and I see, like, I don't know how to word it. It's almost like redundant changes. They added some big names. They let go some big names. They added some depth guys. They let go some depth guys. I think it's gonna break even. I have a feeling it's gonna be kind of a break even year. I do expect a slight increase in points and in performance and in offense, but I don't think that'll be because of the additions. I think it'll be because of just the change in dynamic that brings a bit more momentum to the roster, and kind of if the guys can complement each other well and they can kind of find that team chemistry nice and early, then we might be in for a good season from them.
Okay, cool. Make it or break it, bro. Who's your guy?
Okay, well, a guy that I don't think is going to be as good as he past is James Neal.
Okay.
I think last year might have been a one-off. I mean, he was kind of just a part of that magical ride in Vegas, right? It was kind of like a big hype train where everybody overperformed and everybody was impressive. I do think he takes maybe a step back now, getting older as well. He's on the older side of the spectrum, I would say, in the league. And in terms of a breakout player, Lindholm from Carolina.
Yep.
Dude, he was a pretty big piece of that Carolina roster, and I think that he kind of it's like a sneaky win there for Calgary.
Of course, I'm with you. To not only get younger on the back end, but also to bring in a young guy in Lindholm.
Exactly.
They won that.
The guy, if I remember correctly, he didn't get that many points last year.
Okay.
He just hasn't been the most productive guy, but when you watch him play, there's something about him that's just, it's impressive, and I do have a feeling that if he plays top line minutes, that he's going to be an impressive guy to watch. And they signed him for 6 years for just under $5 million a year.
Yep.
So sort of like a bargain core guy that's going to be there for a while. So I'm expecting big things from this guy for sure.
Good. We brought him up earlier. My breakout guy, it has to be Tkachuk. Okay. Now, he did great last year. I found scoring goals. He only had 25 assists though, playing on I'm pretty sure he was top line with Gaudreau and Monahan. Sorry, buddy. I think you just have to be better. And I think the main reason for that is how much time you spend in the box. Whether it's actually just taking a penalty or fighting or getting thrown off the ice in matching penalties. Bro, if you could watch Marchand now and take a lesson from him, don't worry so much about what's said or what's done after the whistle. Worry more about it during the whistle. Right. So that's my guy. If he can, I'm actually kind of hoping he stays the same at 24 goals, but raises his offensive production and his assists, whether that's going into the corners and being the dirty guy, or just making a nice breakout pass and following up the rush. I'm looking for 40 assists, bro. Okay.
But what do you think of him playing on a second line now?
I don't think it'll affect him that much. I think it'll actually maybe reduce the amount of load that those three guys carry. Now having James Neal on his line and playing with Backlund, who is I don't want to use the word average, but he is basically your go-to guy for everything. Plays a little bit of PP, plays a little bit of PK, and he's an overall sound guy in his own zone. Hopefully the addition of Neal and having Tkachuk move to his line will up his points, and hopefully maybe they can, because you never know, they might develop some chemistry that maybe wasn't there for Gaudreau, Monahan, and Tkachuk.
Yeah, could be.
Okay. Cool.
So where do you see the team finishing overall this year?
Again, they're in probably the biggest shake-up division of the year. I see them battling out with LA and Edmonton for that wild card spot. I just feel like the Central is the toughest division in all of hockey, and I do believe it's either going to have, if not both wild cards there, it's going to have one, and they're going to be fighting tooth and nail to get that last spot in their own division. So, that being said,
I mean, I kind of.
Oh, sorry. Cut you off there.
I kind of see it that same way. If every division, if either division was guaranteed a wild card spot,
yeah,
then I would say that Calgary would have a very good chance of stealing that last spot from LA. I do think, I think I've even mentioned it in previous episodes, like Arizona, Edmonton. It wouldn't surprise me if one of them came out of nowhere and stole it. The fact that both wild cards could easily go to the Central makes me think that that Calgary is going to have a pretty exceptional year if they want to have an impact and make the postseason. I think them too, similarly to Buffalo. I think they're a year away again. They're missing a few pieces, but if they show signs of good chemistry right off the bat, then who knows? It could be good for them.
Okay,
we'll see.
All right. So on to sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Milwaukee. They simply just bought out every other sponsor we had. So
the whole state of Milwaukee?
No, Milwaukee Tools. Milwaukee Tools.
Milwaukee, is that a state?
I don't believe it is.
Dude. We're Canadian. Who cares?
Geography is not our best statistic.
That's my bad. I should have known that.
Hey.
I should have known that.
Hey, it's all right.
But the whole county of Wisconsin is sponsoring it for this video.
So there you go, fellas. Take it or leave it. We're out of here. Peace.